Hi, welcome to the show, Custody Matters with Dr. Mark Roseman and Danica Joan. We have several guests on the Zoom cast today because we're so anxious to find out what happened yesterday, Mark. I'm so proud of you. You were speaking for us all. You were the voice for everybody, and we really appreciate you and acknowledge you. You took a train up there all the way up to Virginia, I believe, is where the end of the train was, and then you got in your car and drove all the way up to Connecticut. And
and I just want to get this. I was so honored because the Congresswoman Gonzalez, who was co-host, and apparently what I learned has been the most progressive reformer in the state of Connecticut in getting shared parenting and bills to help prepare for shared parenting. That, in fact, at the end of our meeting, which was, we finished almost 8:30 last night, and I thank all of you for having visited such a long day. But as a result of that, I was talking to Gonzalez, and she hugged me, and she said that my presentation was, she adored wants me to work with her. And I have an opportunity, I believe, that I want to make happen, which is to help my home state of Connecticut, my New England, which is the bastion of liberty in this country, aside from the Alamo, pardon me. But, these was New England colonies that fought the British and gave reason for the United States of America. And we are so lacking in ensuring the justice that children should have and inviting two parents to be in their children's lives. It's outrageous. I had to come back, and I had to give them hell. And I also had to share my heart with them. And I hope that those who had the opportunity to see that were able to see. But I am very excited about the possibility of working with this congresswoman, and I'm trying to find Zoom that I can share with someone in Mexico that wants to participate. I can't find the Zoom thing. I don't know where it is. Oh my gosh.
What are you trying to manage?
I'm trying to find the connection for this Zoom and send it to someone in WhatsApp. And I don't mean to waste people's time, and I apologize. But my phone is kind of screwed up. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But the thing is, what happened yesterday was, I think, absolutely amazing, because in spite of how I feel I came off, it was more positive than I had expected that it would be. I wanted to make points. I wanted people to understand that 20 years ago, 15 years ago, we advocated for these rights of children, and the state has done nothing. And now this woman, Gonzalez, is like a lone wolf. And yet the Speaker of the House in the state of Connecticut is supportive of this. So we need to make, and I want a consulting position with Gonzalez. I'm not going to do it for nothing. I paid my price. And I want things to happen in Connecticut. But you know what? I feel, show me the money. Show me the money. I want to see where people really believe. And I think that if the state of Connecticut really does care, then make a contribution to the Toby Center. Right?
That's right. Hey, Dr. Mark, I would like to get a take on from the people who actually saw your program live, and you did give me a link to the recording, so I'm definitely going to post that. Unfortunately, I can't do it in the context of this show, which I would love to do. But Wendy, while she's talking, you can get the text over to your friend on WhatsApp, okay?
I just did that.
Oh, you did?
Did it. Thank you.
Well, perfect.
And Danica, every time I see you, you look more and more beautiful.
Thank you.
Which I expect. You're a host, for crying out loud. No, you're hurt. Brush my teeth today.
Well, thank you.
But this is so exciting, and as you can tell, I'm so blessed for your support, Wendy. When I met with you, and your colleagues in Texas, and had the honor of meeting so many parents from around the country looking towards you and an outlet to really bring home not only their story, but the reasons why change must be made. We must keep up this effort. Last night, I got to sleep very late because I got home. I'm staying with my dear friend Patty Owens, who, in fact, was very generous in working with me at the Toby Center some years ago and organizing me. But when I got back to Patty's last night, I was up and I watched the rebroadcast of Trump's speech. And I got to tell you that I was really impressed with some of the points he made, and particularly, and I think I have it in my pocket. Some of the points that he made were spoke about, the changes in the criminal system that need to be made. That One Step Act program, which I want to look more carefully at. That is an example of family court reform. I mean, that is an example of reform in criminal court. You know what? Not to the exclusion of family court, right? He also, announced that they followed through what several administrations had proposed. The Family Leave Act. I remember Lieberman was one of the first to respond to this about 12 years ago. And I know Lieberman, he's from Connecticut. And that never happened. But apparently it's happened now. That's what I understand. And he said, we defy the impossible. That's what America's about. And our ideals to this nation cannot be negotiable. Well, you know what? Anybody that's in Republican, that knows Republicans, right? And I've been no favorite of Republicans, nor have I been a hardcore Democrat. I'm an independent. But I will tell you, anybody that believes in family, anybody that steps up and announces that our country has obligations to improving the lives of family must now insist that there be a national policy that acknowledges the rights of children to have parents in their lives. This time, folks, we must seize this time. It's critical. House in Washington spoke. Hold them to the fire, and let's get moving with an announcement by the federal government that they acknowledge the rights of children to have two parents and that it's best for children. Because why? Because Roseman wrote about the research in his book, Preserving Family Ties. Use it as a tool. And if you do that, we are going to win. We will make America great again. I don't care about the bullshit coming out of anybody's office. The only thing that makes America great is its families. And we are destroying families. It's got to turn around now. And vote for me. I'm considered to be part that you want. But, friends, we must now seize this time. I feel like I'm out of Boston in 1776. But we must. If you heard all these stories yesterday, and many of you did, you heard about the destruction that is endemic in every freaking state of this union. What unites this country? I will tell you what should unite this country. It's love. It's respect of family. It's acknowledgement. It is embracing the rights of children to live. Why are we such an attractive country? Because of our heritage, not because of today. Because of our heritage. It's time to get back on track. And that is not a partisan issue. But we must reach out to those partisans who, in fact, will overthrow the status quo and make this country, to use a term, great again. And it can be. If you think about how you grew up or how your grandparents grew up in this country, we have the right to preserve, and we have the necessity and the urgency. We cannot screw around anymore. No more platitudes. That's why Trump got into office. He said no more platitudes. Well, you know what? No more platitudes when it comes to family. All the reasons there, we must seize this moment. And that's what I wanted to make clear to Connecticut. I wanted them to know that I would rather destroy the system in Connecticut and rebuild it than to allow more bullshit to continue, if you'll pardon me. But no more to continue. Too many families continue to suffer. And I witnessed further yesterday in my homeland, right? Where I worked so hard and selflessly to try making a difference. And I worked within the governor's commissions. I worked with the state fatherhood commissions. I set up programs to work with parents. And what has happened? Zippity-doo-dah, like I told them yesterday. So I apologize for being so strong, but as you can see, it's urgent. It's urgent, and I really we interrupt this broadcast to bring you a word from our sponsor.
So
I'm so sorry.
No, hey, you're on a roll, and you're speaking volumes to from the people who have no voice to reach out to these people. A lot of us, we really don't have a clue how to even go about it, and a lot of us are still just in survival mode. So I wanted to ask Wendy, what was your take on what you saw, what your experience that was of Dr. Mark speaking yesterday?
Well, after all that, I want to say, Dr. Mark for president.
Woo!
would you consider running for president?
I would. I would absolutely.
Throw your hat in the race.
I'll tell you, you know what? I'm in the last quarter of my life. I want to make a difference with as much impact, and believe me, in spite of my fantasy, if anyone called me to service, I would.
Well, I watched the whole thing yesterday. I was glued to it all day from beginning to end.
Wow.
And the representative that you're talking about, Dr. Mark, that's Minnie Gonzalez.
Yes.
And she has been a very, very vocal advocate for families for many years. And kudos to her. You know, she really, I think, kind of goes against the grain in that way as a politician. To be so very vocal, and she's very passionate and compassionate about the issue. So we all really should take a lesson from her about standing up and speaking out about caring about family. So she's really, really awesome. But the whole thing was great. I was glued to it, like I said, and I found myself several times just cheering wildly for the things that were said. I thought that Dr. Burnett and Dr. Miller and Linda Gottlieb, fantastic.
Yeah.
It was really like actually going to a conference where you might spend hundreds of dollars to go and get educated by these experts. They were amazing, and they give great education, but also what I loved about their presentations was that it was very relatable, and they delivered their messages in a way that everybody could understand, and they were very compassionate and approachable. But what I want to say about Dr. Mark is that you said that Minnie Gonzalez adored you, and you are adorable. And I'll tell you why I think you're adorable, because you've got experience, you've got personal experience, you've got knowledge, you're passionate, and you are approachable. And all of those things make you adorable and also really memorable. And I wanted to share something with you that you mentioned my symposium that I had in Dallas. We had 250 people come from all around the world, right, from 4 different countries. And my son was there. You might remember. He was the official photographer of the event. And because there were so many people, 250 people, that's a lot of people, and he had a job to do. Yeah. He really doesn't remember hardly anyone, but he remembers you very clearly. You really made an impression on him. So that's what I'm saying is all of these things that you have, your experience, your knowledge, your passion, and you're such an approachable person, and you're so real. I think that makes you, you really have an impact on people. And I loved everything you said yesterday, and I loved your passion. And also I loved it that your experience as a stand-up comic came through a little bit. I thought that was awesome. But again, that's part of who you are, that you are so real and approachable. And I love that about you. So anyway, super job yesterday. I thought it was great. I loved it. And Dr. Mark for president, you got my vote.
Yay.
Wendy, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve.
I know you are. You're the embodiment of service, and wow, you can't fail. I don't know what else to say other than I will put the link up, and I'll try to do a Facebook Live of the link. The link that you gave me, how long is it? Is it hours long, or is it just your piece, or what?
Oh no, it's hours long, and the section, and I just lost. There we. Oh my! I just lost this. I don't know how to get there. Oh my goodness.
Well, I have the link that you gave me on Facebook.
But I lost everybody on my laptop. What happened? Goodness. Yes, I'm at 4 hours and 50 seconds.
Okay.
That's where I am in the loop. I just found that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries. All right. So I've got the link to the Connecticut network. I don't want to do
yesterday,
that.
Can I tell you what's interesting yesterday for me?
Yes, please do.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, there we go. What?
Rights, slander, and
Sorry.
So.
Go ahead. What happened?
So, Danica,
Yes.
I have the link also to yesterday's Connecticut public hearing on parental alienation and family court. I've got the link to it on my Facebook page as well, and it is of the whole day. Literally, it's a whole day. The first 3 hours is Dr. Burnett, Dr. Miller, and Linda Gottlieb, and then they take a short break, and then they have Dr. Mark and some advocates and some families speak about being affected by parental alienation in the family court system. So it's a long recording. It's the entire day, but I'm gonna see if I can have my hubby isolate some really particular.
Oh my goodness, that would be wonderful. If you could, if you could edit a few pieces out. So because that would be awesome. And it would be even really great if you could take those chunks and compress them sequentially on one video.
Mm-hmm. What was really wonderful yesterday, and sorry I couldn't, I got out of the computer again, but if you notice that a number of judges who were named, a number of the GALs who were named, and a number of the psychologists, the forensic psychologists who were names that were shared by many people in the audience, and you heard all these asks and moans. It shows the need to clean house, and it shows how, I use the word endemic a lot, don't even know if it's a real word, but I like it. But I mean, it's so, they have infected family resolution options. And these people who are manipulating, misrepresenting, and lying as part of their industry practice needs to be not only cleaned house, gives reason why this whole process of court operations today does require immediate reform. It is incestuous, and it is unethical, and it is abominable in that it is a fraternity of thieves. And they are damning and damaging and continuing since my involvement 20 years ago. And that's why I was so, extremely, with how it's continuing. It's absolutely incredible. So what we really need to do, and I think in every state, people need to find out. They need to. I think what we should do, Wendy, is and Danica, I think that the three of us, and I see, Dave in Massachusetts. Dave, thanks for coming aboard, and thanks for sharing the connection for the video, man. And we have to speak later today. I promise you what. But I think those of us who have been very, very long in this field and really understand it need to look at, okay, we need to create that roadmap. What are we going to do, and how can we get advocates in every state where there is interest, how they will be able to begin to identify those that are ruining the process, and who are those that are advocating for change among those in power. That's why Gonzalez is so important. I got to call her, and hopefully I'll be meeting with her in the next several days. But we need to, and that's what I told her yesterday. She told me, see what happened is she said she wants to retire within a year or two. I said, if you want to do that, you've got to keep that momentum. You've got to line up your ducks. You've got to identify who your allies are, which I'm sure you do, and you have to create a roadmap for people because you have been leading the charge. And Wendy, you've been following Gonzalez, and I have not. I've only learned of her in the last week, and she became active when I went to work in Washington, and my orientation became national as opposed to Connecticut. Because in Connecticut, I felt it was just a hopeless situation. 20 years later, it's still hopeless, but it's not absent of potential. And so I think that the three of us, and if we can identify others who you think may be part of that conversation in drawing up a business plan, that's what I think we need to do, and create that roadmap to make that change, and identify those in other states that are doing so. But I think we need a roadmap. And Wendy, how did you come to know, of Gonzalez?
I've just seen a lot about her online, mostly in Facebook groups, about her involvement and being really outspoken about the issues for families dealing with parental alienation in the family courts in Connecticut. And something that I don't know that I would like to know is, because Connecticut has done a public hearing like this twice now, and I would like, and the last time they did it, they showed the documentary Divorce Court. So that was what?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think it was like 5 years ago.
5 years ago, but I didn't know they showed Divorce Court. How?
They did. And what I would like to know, I don't know, but I need to find out, is how did this come together? Because to have a public hearing that is all day like they did, and they devoted a whole day to this, and they really didn't cut anybody off. Now I know that they had time limits because you have to do that. You know how that you have to do that. But I'm wondering, how did this come about? How did they make this happen in Connecticut, that they devoted a whole day to this public hearing? I would love to see that happening across the nation.
Yes.
And I don't know if Minnie Gonzalez sponsored that. I don't know the process. I don't know how you make that happen. But that in itself is huge.
Yeah.
Dedicate a whole day to that public hearing.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to find out, because I'm going to talk with Gonzalez, hopefully meet her soon, and also the woman who contacted me a week ago is an attorney. That was attorney Maureen, I call her Moskowitz, but it's something like that. She's the one that was involved, and thank you very much. Thank you. She was the one that was involved in setting up. I'm going to find that out, and that Maureen, we became very close last night, and her husband, and she also has a son, that is dealing with parental alienation. But those are the two catalysts, like you said, Gonzalez, and also this other attorney, Maureen. And I'm gonna speak with them, because fortunately I can, which is locally, and we're gonna learn how to do that. And you know what? We're gonna take that model, Wendy. You're in charge.
Yes. You're in charge.
Okay. And we're going to replicate that model in every freaking state. And we're going to demand and find out how we can get hearings, public hearings.
That's exactly what needs to happen. If we had
Right.
public hearings in every single state and hold these people into account, and they get to hear the voices of those like us who are, they've got to hear us. They've got to know that this is important. They've got to get out of their bubble and their desensitized world and realize, kind of get them profoundly connected again as to why it is that they do public service.
Yes. And
So
I think
We here in Texas, we had a meeting last year with our Attorney General, and it was nothing like the public hearing in Connecticut yesterday. When we had our meeting with the Attorney General last year, his people ushered him in, and he sat there and he listened to us for maybe 30 minutes. He literally never said a word. And then all of a sudden it was announced that, suddenly an emergency came up and he had to leave, and they ushered him out. And it seemed like he was just checking a box of that he needed to have that meeting for some reason to fulfill something. I don't know, but it was nothing like the Connecticut hearing yesterday where they devoted a whole day to it. And I saw the other people with Minnie Gonzalez. I don't know if they're state reps or what their jobs were, but they were all asking questions of the experts and of the parents. They all really cared about this issue. And so I agree with you. I think that this needs to happen everywhere. And when you do speak with Ms. Gonzalez, if you could ask her, how does this come about? How do you get an all-day public hearing that is devoted to this issue and to get everybody really on board with caring about the issue like they have in Connecticut?
And you know what, Wendy, the other thing, which is really extraordinary, and I want to thank Dave Moniz very much for his Alienated Dead, for sending the link to me, the video of the Connecticut taping yesterday. Can you imagine this? The state of Connecticut had recorded the whole day of testimony. Now, that is in itself a coup. So there are two coups. One, to have the legislative hearings. This is formal, and it involved the public, invitations, and it had a panel, and it was at the legislature. That's the first coup. The second coup was to get that frickin' thing recorded. That is superlative. That's going to get the message out, and that, by the way, will be a selling tool to the states for those advocates that want to go to the state with we're going to create a toolkit so that those in the state, and I know Dave wants to do that in mass, right, Dave? You can shake your head. Okay, so well, we want to support you, man.
Yes.
And everybody, and we can do this. And but the point is that Connecticut permitted that, and you know what? 80% of these legislators are attorneys. You got to figure 30% anyway are family attorneys. And you know what? They're getting pissed off. They're pissed off. You know, they've been found out, right? They've been labeled. They've been identified. They've been named. Screw them. It's time to clean house.
So I have a request from one of our participants here, and he had something to say. Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, thank you. Mark, amazing yesterday. Amazing.
Thank you, Paul.
It was a joy to listen to you and to watch you, as you say, go back to your roots and for nothing to be done after 20 years speaks volumes in itself. And hearing Ms. Gonzalez and paying attention to what the questions that she was asking.
Yes.
There was no Minnie Gonzalez is not checking the box. Okay?
Right.
Not checking the box.
Yes.
She was present, and she has the endorsement of the attorney. Was that the Attorney General? Was he there as well?
Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House. Okay.
Yes.
So you've got a pit bull, and you've got someone who's willing to listen to her, and you can't forget about the White House. Okay, I'm not going to let you throw your yarmulke into that.
Well, wait, they don't know that Obama was Jewish. Did you know that his mother was Jewish?
You're just far too political. What you did yesterday was you raised the bar, and you have an email unanswered from me, or I have emailed into you unanswered, and I respect your time. Now that
I've not been on the emails, Paul. Pardon me.
No, Mark.
I apologize.
I completely get it. But now it's time to take this to the next level. And
Yes.
this is what you're doing. This is you are able to solely, just yourself, because of your history and your skin in the game after 20 years, you're able to use this as a national springboard, okay? And from national, we go international, and we duplicate this at state level, okay, nationwide, and our friends to the north as well, and just duplicate this and continue forward. In the meantime, we can't take any hostages, and we've got your back, and we're willing to serve at this battle, and be progressive, and to deal what we're dealing with so that we don't have to deal with it anymore. 6 generations was referred to yesterday.
Yes.
That's a long time. That's a long time that's a lot of sickness. That's a lot of lives.
It is.
And knowing the statistics on the suicide alone that's involved in this at every level. I mean, that's just so that's just another statistic that we needs addressed. But just to advocate for you again yesterday, what a job you did, and now that you've done that job, now the work begins. Now we have to start writing and getting in front of Minnie Gonzalez on a consulting. The money is there. It's Title 4D money. You'll get the money. Send them the invoice. Send them the consulting agreement. Send them the invoice.
Holy shit! You know what? Under Title 4D, isn't that amazing? Because it's all about child support, and the research shows, and I didn't do the research. I was involved in part of it in Washington, but we found out that the more frequently a parent has access to the child, the more likely they are to pay child support. That's just it. Otherwise, they hang up that and say, you know what? I'm out of here. I can't see my kids. My life is defined by the fact that I have children, and I want to be a parent, and you're taking that away from me. You know what? Bye-bye. And so it's that, or we're going to get real and make it happen. And 4A, I believe, and I'm going to talk to Mark Ludwig, of the chairman, who was chairman of the Equal and Shared Parenting Organization, to find out, just what his take might be, because he's a political person. He's dealt with people in Washington, and he can better explain how I can approach that. Or I can even talk to, I'll even talk to Gonzalez about it. But I think you're right. They should pay me out of Title 4D funding, because it's all about child support. You want
just tell her that the money is available under Title 4D. She has to forward it to the Judiciary Committee, which she's a part of, and find the money.
All right, Paul, I beg your pardon. Can I interrupt quickly? Paul, I want to ask Danica and Wendy particularly, and Dave, and anyone else that's there. But here's the thing. What I'd like to say, Wendy and Danica, if we can definitely work together in creating that model, I'm going to go to Gonzalez. I'm going to get, and I know Dave wants to replicate it, so that's really important. So Dave in on this conversation also. But the thing is, I would like to ask yourselves if we're going to create this entity, and we can call it, I don't care what you want to call it, but I would like to invite Gonzalez, who told me last night she wants to retire soon. It might be 12 months, might be 2 years, but I know she wants, she looks tired. She's probably in her early 70s, I'm not sure. But I would like to make her, when she retires, national chairman for this effort.
Okay.
Awesome.
Think about that.
I like it.
Just think about it. I'm not asking for your decision, but I think that here's someone who's a political animal. She's been a black sheep. She's been a lone wolf, and she's been somewhat successful. Wendy, you're a Texan. You understand her. You've seen her, and you can appreciate the efforts as a political person that she is in helping create changes. But I think we need a leader who's a political animal as well, in some respect. So anyway, can I share with her, or maybe you and Danica can draft something that I can share with her? But it's just evolving as we're speaking.
Yes.
It's all extemporaneous. But we need someone to take the political animal. Anyway, that's my rambling. Paul, pardon me.
There's a There is an alienated father, I believe, that ran for office this last, not this like the midterm, but I think during the nationals. That I don't know if he was like state representative, but he was down in your area, down in South Florida, and his name escapes me, but I do remember he was part of the whole. He was involved in parental alienation advocacy. But I'm just trying to think of different people who've already been touched, who have an in or knowledge of the political system.
Gosh.
Well, I assume, and I could be wrong, but I assume that Minnie Gonzalez was at least very influential in this public hearing happening. And, you know, if you want to do something that someone else has done,
Yeah.
how they did it, you know, how did you make it happen? And so we
Right.
definitely need to get in touch with her and ask her if she was the person who initiated this and made it happen, or if not, who was, and how can we do that in other states? So
Maybe we can have a conference call, a Zoom conference call with her.
Yes.
As well, because Wendy and Danica, I think we really need to have this conversation together with her. And I just believe that by her response last night, which was so heartwarming, and she's Hispanic, and I believe that half my family's roots are from Spain also, so that explains some of my experience. But he cares. And I remember when I was in family court, you know, they rotate the judges in Connecticut as in many states. I had an Hispanic judge who, and I say this because all the Yankees and the Jews that were on there, they didn't give a shit. This guy said, "Mr. Roseman, I'm going to ride herd on this case. What has happened to you? How this case has fallen between the cracks? It's not. I'm going to ride herd." I cried, as I do often, but I cried then out of great expectation. You know, they rotated him out.
Wow.
They rotated him out. Here is a guy that was raised with family values, I project, understood what the situation was, what the children needed, and wanted to commit to it. That's why I said in my statement, we need a professional judiciary. And I wasn't the only one that said it. But we need to have, you know, accreditation of professional judges committed to solely family court and also a complete, you know, reform of the family court system. But I think Gonzalez is just amazing. And you're right, Wendy. I'm going to have that conversation with her, but I also want to invite the three of us together with her. Does that make sense, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, wonderful.
Let's do it. Let's do this. Let's kick some ass. How about that?
We have to. And, you know, I really felt a bit ashamed of myself yesterday because there I am having an opportunity to share, you know, professional thoughts, to share some personal experiences, professional observations, and then to say, you know what, I'm going to come if changes are not made. I'm going to come in here with Vinny, and we're going to tear this place down. Not a professional thing to say, but I thought it was pretty amusing, and they got a point across. And I'm lucky I wasn't arrested for threatening bodily harm.
You did preface it for the fact that you used to do stand-up comedy.
Oh, thank God!
Oh.
I didn't I? Wow.
All right.
Well,
let's see what time it is. It is 3:55. We've done a good job of expanding this half hour into an amazing full hour.
Wow. Could I share just a couple more things?
Of course. Absolutely.
Thank you. And Wendy, and anyone that had seen the program yesterday, I certainly would invite. But what I found was so unifying was the fact that everybody there, from the professional panel to those giving testimony, and I was also I was impressed by everybody's sincerity, their genuine commitment, their belief in the need for reform, the need to understand what children are experiencing when parents, are going through, whether you call it highly conflicted divorce or not. That was important. But the fact that there was that endemic, corruption. But also, there were so many who, in spite of their admission of being fearful of retribution, were there. The courage, they were there. Yeah. And I think, Wendy, you said that Representative Gonzalez, it wasn't a cookie cutter, checklist questions. She remembered people from their own court experience, and she went to different courts herself to get firsthand information of what was happening in the courts and who was doing what. But she knew cases. She was right on and empathic in a genuine way, because she remembered and told them what she remembered. And
yeah, she didn't just say, oh, I remember you. She said, I remember you. Oh, and your sister came with you too. And I remember your mom came with you, or I remember this particular thing about your case. So she really showed that she really actually did remember these people. She's a very remarkable person.
She is, and very brave, because she asked for the withdrawal of a judge who was found to be corrupt, and his cronies in Connecticut wanted to poo-poo it. And they said if she continued with her grievance and got him off, they're going to remove her from the judiciary. So it said that, do it. They got her off the judiciary. Meanwhile, they got rid of that judge. Can you imagine how the state functions? And it's states, they're brotherhoods. It's time to bring out sisterhoods. It's time to bring in motherhood and fatherhood. It's time to bring out righteousness and ethics.
Yes.
And hold accountable. And that's going to be tough, because this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I wouldn't be surprised if those with the loudest voices get knocked off.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it.
It's okay. We've got to shake it up. All right. We're going to conclude this show. You guys stay on the line, and we'll talk about maybe scheduling a meeting. Okay?
Well, listen, I want to thank everybody for being on the air today. And certainly, I want to give my thank you and my love to everyone who was so kind to be able to make the time to visit what was happening in Connecticut, a state that's remote to many of us, as I say, but also a state that I think whose experiences can give light to what we can do in other states as well. And I thank you for all your support of me and my efforts. It really brings tear to my eyes, and I really appreciate that so very much, very much.
All right, thank you, and we'll see you on Sunday at 5 p.m. For Preserving Family Ties Zoom cast. Have a good afternoon and good weekend.
Everybody be well. Thank you, Danica.
All right.